All right. Mo will introduce Andrew. They've worked together before, and it's going to be a very interesting conversation in between the two of them. I'll just, step in when I need to.
Wow, peer pressure. It's a full house tonight. Guys, can you give a big round of applause for Andrew Garfield?
Wow, I'm so happy to be here. So happy to see you all. This is very, very sweet and a real treat for me. This is really exciting. So thank you for having me. Thank you for inviting me. And
thank you.
And just like you've put on something so special this last period of time, these last weeks, and it's just so lovely to be here at the tail end of it with all of you. So yeah, very excited to talk to everyone.
Welcome, Andrew. Well, first of all, for me, it's quite exciting to see the both of you together because, throughout the years, I've, followed your careers, but I've never interviewed you together, especially 99 Homes, which is one of my favorite independent films. Yeah, you can clap, you can always clap. So let's start with that and your working relationship and how it was to do 99 Homes together.
So 99 Homes was a film by Ramin Bahrani. I think we shot in New Orleans, if I'm not mistaken. It wasn't in Miami, but the story was in the backdrop of the housing crisis. And that's where I met Andrew properly, but we had a mutual friend who has introduced us before in the past, Kevin Turin, who has actually passed last week. Yeah, a few weeks ago. But yes, we met in New Orleans, and Andrew was incredible in that movie.
It was a very beautiful film to work on together for the first time because it was about something that was so meaningful. It was about a large portion of the population of the United States who were suffering from a terrible oppression, basically, during the 2008 housing crisis, and. Yeah, it was an interesting group of us that made this. It was, Ramin Bahrani, who's an American filmmaker, but of a very, very different cultural heritage as well. And then Mo, obviously, of Saudi heritage, and me of English heritage, and it was this melting pot of a group, and a bunch of people who felt maybe like they were outsiders in a certain way. Telling a story about what it is to be an outsider, I suppose, to be someone who feels like they can't quite access the culture that they want to be a part of, and doing whatever you need to do in order to survive and to thrive. And yeah, it was Kevin, our mutual friend Kevin, was very, very excited about Mo coming on and being a producer, and it did turn out to be a very, very soulful experience, and I think it's very, very rare to feel like you're making a film that has a kind of a soulful village that is making it. And I don't know, in terms of like any young filmmakers or people aspiring filmmakers in the room, like to create from I suppose a community mindedness that it does take a village to make a film. It was one of my first experiences. Where every single decision really came from us as a tribe rather than any one individual. It was pretty exciting.
And I guess it's the right time to say that those movies are difficult to make, You have to put your heart and soul into them, even when you have a big star attached.
Of course, the importance of independent cinema, and I think a platform like Red Sea is the right platform for these art house films. We have witnessed this week incredible films from all over the world that were in all the festival runs. And also 99 Homes was an official selection in Venice Film Festival that year and got a lot of awards on the festival run. So you really do need to put your heart and soul in these projects.
And sometimes your own money.
Of course. These movies have an incredible social message and importance, and that's the beauty of art house and independent films. You want to watch something and then take something after seeing the film. You go back and you think about it. It's not just purely entertainment, but it's also knowledgeable.
Beautiful film. And notable mention to Michael Shannon, who I think is such a great actor and was with you in 99 Homes. The RSIFF Film Festival is all about supporting talent, as you said. How much does that resonate with you, Andrew? Because you did become successful in Hollywood, but it was not an instant success. You, as well, took time.
Yeah, I started in London, in England. I was doing theatre straight out of drama school, and kind of earned my chops, I suppose, in that way. And I don't think I would be able to be sat here with you all without that theatre background, a very kind of like 3 years of theatre training, and then 3 or 4 years doing theatre around the UK and in London, and learning the craft, like really getting as deep into the, and young actors ask me all the time, like, what do I do? Can you help me? Can you help me? What do I do? And the only response I have is just work. Doesn't matter. Do a potato chip commercial in Spain. Do a Shakespeare play when in the middle of the forest when no one's gonna see you. And just because you want to be always in the creative process, especially when you're young and just beginning. So by the time you do end up on a film set, which is terrifying. It's just terrifying being on a film set. Even I'm 40 years old now, and I still get absolutely petrified. And I have terrible imposter syndrome. I think I have nothing to offer, and so that fear never goes away. is what I'm trying to say. So, but hopefully, if you've been working the muscles enough, by the time you do reach that set, you have enough to fall back on where you don't just completely fall apart and have a panic attack in front and like waste Mo's money like while we're trying to make a film.
Has anyone seen Andrew on in a play or in theater?
You have, really?
Yeah.
There are people who see me on stage? That's weird. When?
I live in London, but you were in...
On Broadway and Angels of
You were
America.
on Broadway.
So, Andrew, I have to tell you, like, I'm not putting you on the spot, but you're an incredible performer live. I can't believe you've done 6 hours of Angels in America, part 1 and 2 on Broadway, and that was an incredible show. And of course, Death and a Salesman also. So I think you are an incredible actor in the art of craft of acting and have expelled that.
Thank you very much.
And it's important to note all of those things because basically, you know, you are known for a blockbuster role, of course, internationally, but also for those auteur cinema things that you've done and for the theater. How important is it to have this eclectic path in your career where you are able to stretch this acting exercise everywhere?
Yeah, I think I'm just very, very, sorry, I'm going to turn around, open up a little bit and say hi to you guys. Hi, how's it going? I do consider myself very, very lucky that I've gotten to... I actually did do a Doritos commercial when I was 21, I want to say. And then I was doing, at the same time, I was doing 4 or 5 different theatre plays in London at the National Theatre. And I would say that period of time, and I was auditioning for films, so I was... You know, it was just the right mix of being overwhelmed by every single medium and learning. And so again, I feel like any opportunity that is given, especially at a young age, we must just grab it and take it and kind of be greedy with getting as much experience as we can get. And I think in terms of theatre, people say that theatre is a dying art form, and they've been saying that for, almost a century now. And I just disagree, and I think people are getting concerned that film is going to be a dying art form, especially with what's coming down the pike with artificial intelligence. And, I was talking with a friend the other night who said, well, I don't know if people, like young people, are going to want to see you in a movie anymore, because at a certain point in the next 4 or 5 years, they're going to be able to say to their television, okay, I want to see a movie where I'm the star and Brad Pitt's the other star and we are in a relationship, but I'm like half horse and he's half chicken, but it's in the style of a Lethal Weapon movie directed by Wes Anderson, and Natalie Portman plays my mother, and Al Turki is in one scene just doing this, and you know, like a lot of smart people think that that's coming, and but even with that, I think that we are a storytelling species in a way that we want things that are universally relatable, and that's one of the things I feel very inspired by about what you guys are doing here at the Red Sea Festival, and in this part of the world that I'm being introduced to, that I have not experienced, is the kind of the transcendent nature of story. We are a storytelling species. It is the thing that doesn't know any boundaries, does not know any country divides, does not know any gender, does not know any sexual orientation. It is the one art that reminds us that we are all connected, like mycelium underneath the surface of the earth. That we all go through the same emotional experiences, just with different clothes. And I think so for me, it's very, very inspiring and reassuring to be here with hopefully a bunch of young filmmakers and young artists and young actors who are who are longing, yearning, feeling called to continue that storytelling, that human storytelling tradition that does not allow anyone else to be the other. Yes. Like, it kills otherness story. It is impossible to dehumanize anyone else if you know their full story. So I think, yeah, this is what I feel very inspired by what you guys are doing here.
Well, we're very happy for you to be here with us. Thank you. So, going back to you, Andrew. Did you find your own community of rising fellow actors, especially Brits in Hollywood? And how much were you each other's support at that time?
Yeah,
there was a lot of articles about these things.
Yeah,
recently.
Eddie Redmayne
Eddie
and Jamie Dornan and Rob Pattinson and Tom Sturridge and Charlie Cox. Yeah, all the Brits.
All the Brits.
All the Brits. We do stick together. It's pretty weird. Like in Los Angeles is a strange place for English people.
You were roommates, right?
They were roommates. Oh, okay. I had a girlfriend, actually. Thank you very much. I think at the time I was the only one with a girlfriend, and they were all roommates. But like pretty much we were all roommates, including my girlfriend at the time, who remains one of my very, very close friends and dear loves. But yeah, it was a pretty exciting, privileged time to be in and out of each other's apartments and houses, and sharing drinks at the local hotel, not being able to afford more than one drink per the group, sharing shrimp tacos, like half each, and like comparing which scripts we were reading. Like, it was a very burgeoning, exciting period of time for all of us, and I'm just so excited. I think it's a rare thing where you get to truly be 50-50 with your fellow artist friends, 50% just so excited for them and full of support for them, and then 50% just horribly jealous and envious and wanting to steal everything they have, and why didn't I get that audition, and why didn't I get that? Like, there's something, and to be able to express that to each other is actually quite healthy. To be able to own both and not be in denial that, like, oh no, I'm just happy for you. It's like, no. Let's be real with each other. And I think like that group of friends, we're able to say, you son of a gun, why did I? Like, we can really go there while simultaneously being really genuinely like supportive of each other. It's a lovely thing. Community, yeah, it's very, very hard to find.
Well, you became Spider-Man, Rob Pattinson became Batman, Eddie Redmayne is Fantastic Beasts, and Jamie Dornan is many shades of a lot. I mean, did you expect that you'd all become successful? I mean, from not being able to afford one drink to all of you being so successful.
Well, they're all pretty handsome, those guys. So I always knew that they would be successful and talented. But no, I don't think any of us. I think nothing's guaranteed. I think I did a talk show maybe a couple of years ago now with Jamie. We both did the James Corden show together, and we were both looking at each other kind of backstage going, oh my goodness, this like 15 years, 16 years later, and we're actually here, and we're actually, and it was like we kind of like both started crying and had a little hug backstage. It was very, very sweet. So no, I don't think any of us expected to, I didn't expect to land here with you all, and it's it's surreal, but I think that level, I think, again, humility is a dying virtue in our industry as well, and I think British people, whether it's false or not, we are good at humility. Some people are very good at false humility.
Yeah, exactly. You
but
articulate.
Yeah.
Humility.
But like I like to think that our group has a genuine self-loathing that we don't think we have anything to offer, so we work really, really hard to find that thing that we want to offer, to make sure we are offering all of ourselves. I know that group of people particularly, they overwork themselves, including me. Maybe we'll slow down now that we're entering our 40s and later, but yeah, I think nothing's guaranteed. I'm unemployed right now. I have no job. And I'm saying that
Mo's a good person.
so I'm
Red
saying
Sea
that
Foundation.
only for Mo. Like I'm saying that to Mo right now. You all just happen to be in the room, and I need a job. I would love to keep working.
Putting me under pressure.
No, so it's nothing's guaranteed. I think that's the beauty of being an artist as well. Being in the creative arts is you're forced to be more alive than someone in a 9-to-5 job. And I mean, like, I wish I could do a 9-to-5 job. I would love to do a 9-to-5 job. But she's like, yeah, right. I mean, I've had 9-to-5 jobs, and I like the comfort. Like, I worked at Starbucks. I was a waiter. I was a cricket coach. Yeah, cricket coaching. But anyway, so but there's something that keeps you on your toes, and because you don't know when the next inspiration is gonna come.
Well, I agree with her in the audience. Being a dreamer and part of the arts, and being able to have a platform to produce movies, to share human stories to a big audience, I think, is way better and a privilege than having to wake up for an 8-to-5 job. But I applaud everybody who wakes up every single morning and does work to make a living.
Yes, absolutely.
That's really important, and I have so much respect for every single working person in here.
Including, we have to say, most of Los Angeles is a struggling act being a waiter. Like, you go to restaurants in Los Angeles, everyone looks like a movie star because they're all waiting for their next break. Did you experience that in LA yourself? Of course, as a producer, but that you have to struggle in the business. You have to make your own path. You have to meet the people.
Of course, networking is a really important thing. I remember in 2010 when I worked on my first film, which was a small indie. Our whole budget for the film was $100,000. We were shooting in New York. We were getting our friends to give us their apartments for location. We would find a time where we won't get in trouble to shoot in the street because we didn't get a permit. And we struggled to put it in film festivals, and we were lucky enough that The Imperialists Are Still Alive was 2010 official selection in Sundance. And that's where I met Nick Jarecki, who's a really good friend, and I jumped on to help him produce Arbitrage.
Arbitrage with Richard Gere.
And then I thought, when I met Kevin Turin and the inception of Treehouse Pictures, I thought this is very normal to work on 4 independent films, all go to festivals, all get distribution, they're all successful. Little that I knew that is pure luck and success. I was sitting with other producers who were struggling, and I just had 5 movies that are in cinemas, got distribution, and then I realized people have been in LA for over 30 years and have not gotten one project out. So it's not everybody who gets that chance, but I'm sure determination and to be able to be persistent in what you want, I think you will get your end goal. And I'm very fortunate that I've been able to lift these movies and get people to watch them. And then Red Sea today,
Exactly.
I never thought in a million years.
And Mo is tired. Mo is very, very tired right now. He's been working harder than anyone, maybe in Saudi Arabia, for the last week, maybe month. And so it's an amazing thing. The persistence, the drive, the pushing, and it's all for something bigger. It is all for what you've created. This intersection of artists, these intersections of cultures and stories, and I kind of hope that humanity will not destroy itself, but will heal itself, and will. So it's a really, so well done.
Thank you.
Really, really well done. Yeah.
Did you guys have a lot of conversations about Red Sea? I mean, prior when you met elsewhere?
We did, but like a few conversations. And then I got excited when he wanted to come, and he's here with us today for this talk, and he'll be with us tonight for the award ceremony. But no, but. So yes, as Andrew has said, I'm absolutely excited. Tonight is our award ceremony, so I get to rest after this. It's been the whole year working for this 10 days. So we get to rest for a little bit, and then we start all our activations from the beginning of the year to prepare for round 3. So if you guys are in Jeddah...
4, it's gonna be 4.
Year 4. So we hope everybody in this room will join us again at year 4, and I really hope you guys enjoyed what we've been doing. We're only year 3, so imagine what's gonna happen in year 4 and 5.
Exactly. All right, back to you, Andrew, and a movie I love, Tick, Tick, Boom, which I'm sure you do.
Oh, I love that too.
And not only with who you were portraying, but also how you were able to showcase all your talents into one role. How much energy consumption are we talking about in those types of roles? And I'm sure the joy compensates.
Oh yeah, the joy definitely compensates. And yeah, you give. Well, one gives all of oneself, the whole soul, and there's something very strange that happens sometimes when I make a film, and it happened particularly strongly with Tick, Tick, Boom and playing Jonathan Larson, who, as a lot of you seem to know, wrote Rent, and it was an amazing musical theatre writer and creator, and died very, very young, died at the age of 36 of an aortic aneurysm in his heart. He had a heart attack pretty much the night before the first preview of Rent, which is the Broadway show that changed musical theatre forever, back in the 90s. And there was something very surreal that I felt was happening, a very spiritual experience where I felt that his spirit, and this may sound a little kind of, I believe in that our ancestors are very close all the time. That is my belief. I doubt it sometimes, but I mostly have faith in that as a knowing. And I could feel that his spirit was so excited that we were going to be telling this story that he didn't let me sleep. He didn't let me rest. He had ideas non-stop. He wanted me to give notes to Lin-Manuel Miranda about the edit of the film. I felt like he was coming through me while we were shooting, while we were rehearsing, and then when we finished filming, even then, he was still kind of knocking on my door and kind of hassling me to make changes to the film. It was a profoundly beautiful experience, and that may have been all in my imagination. That may have been all in my head, and that's fine too. It felt incredibly real to me, and I think, again, it's the privilege of actually meeting a character as in the flesh or as in the spirit as possible, and having an experience that actually changes you by knowing another person so intimate, like an intimate friendship or an intimate relationship, or meeting a family member for the first time that you didn't know you had. Like, it shapes your soul, and I just feel so privileged that I get to call that my job. And yes, it took every single drop and every single ounce of energy and every single bit of passion I had, because I think somewhere deep down, Jonathan Larson knew that he had this very, very short period of time to express what he was meant to express, to advocate for the friends that were around him who were dying during the AIDS crisis in New York City. He was an advocate for people that didn't have a voice. He was an advocate for people who were being othered, who were being exiled, who were being treated like less than human. He was an advocate for their humanity. And I think when you have a mission like that, it gives you superhuman energy. And the same with Desmond Doss in the film I did called Hacksaw Ridge, which, thank you. For the people who know, he was someone who did superhuman acts during the Second World War, physically impossible acts, saved an impossible amount of lives, doing God's work, doing however you define God, doing the work of remembering that if I hurt my brother, I'm hurting myself. If I heal my brother, I'm healing myself. And Jonathan Larson had the same attitude, and Pryor Walter in Angels in America had the same. There is definitely a thread that connects a lot of, and you know, what the character in 99 Homes starts to realize at the end of the film, of the story, is I have to participate in the world in a way that is healing rather than destroying. And anyway, so I think there's definitely a thread.
And Oscar nominations for Hacksaw Ridge and Tick Tick Boom. And you were robbed for Tick Tick Boom. I was rooting for you. Next time, Tick.
So you definitely love the stage. Yeah. So what's your best advice to give young actors starting out?
Yeah. Yeah. Do the Doritos commercial.
But you started very young. As well.
I didn't know it was a viable option to be an actor. I was an athlete and I was an academic and I loved being an athlete, but I hated school. And I wasn't strong enough to be a rugby player. I wasn't big enough to be. I stopped growing. So I couldn't. So I started losing at swimming. I started getting concussed playing rugby. I could only off spin. I couldn't bat in cricket. And also I just wasn't interested in school. So suddenly I was, like a lot of teenagers, lost. I felt very, very lost, and I didn't know that being in the creative arts was allowed. Like I wasn't raised with that as a knowing. And I imagine that's.
Yeah, it's the same everywhere, you know.
Yeah.
You're either a doctor or
a lawyer,
or an architect or a lawyer or etc.
Oh, and by the way, my brother is a doctor.
My sister too.
And I'm very, very proud of him. But he also just ruined it for me. Like how am I going to compete with that? Like he's like a lung doctor in the Brompton Hospital in Chelsea in London, and he's a genius, and he doesn't even get paid for it. He does it for the love and with the NHS. He does it. He's like socialized healthcare. He's just like a beautiful man, and I'm like, well, I'm like, what am I? I'm just like a clown.
No, you played beautiful men.
No, yeah, exactly. I pretend to be beautiful men. No, yeah, no, I'm not fishing. You're all very sweet though. But I guess what I'm saying is it was very challenging to feel like I had permission to even have a dream, to even identify that I had that dream. And then it was only in the space that I had of letting everything else go and being kind of, I wouldn't say depressed, maybe depressed, sad, lost, anxious, confused, a little bit like Jim Carrey in The Truman Show, where you're like, is this everything? I watch that film once a year. If people haven't seen The Truman Show, it's one of those, and I think it's a metaphor for all of our lives and about growing into the next version of forever growing and becoming more ourselves. Anyway, so I definitely felt that growing up, and it was my mother who really suggested for the first time, have a look at doing something creative. So I tried sculpting and I wasn't very good at it. I tried painting, I wasn't very good. I tried music, I was okay at it. And then you find the thing. Thank God I found the thing, because I don't know what I would be doing now, and I feel so lucky to be part of an art form and a community that is at its best about bringing the village together, making it whole, softening hard edges, and realizing that I am the other you and you are the other me. Like, so again, but in terms of the advice I would give, it's get in touch with your own gut and find and read a book called Letters to a Young Poet by Rainer Maria Rilke, who is a wonderful Austrian poet who wrote these beautiful letters of inspiration and mentorship to a younger poet. And yes, it's called Letters to a Young Poet by Rainer Maria Rilke, and it's Rilke. And so for any young artist, whether you're an actor, or a filmmaker, or a writer, or a poet, or a painter, I would suggest reading these letters, because they give you a lot of inspiration.
I'll merge it together. I'll merge the questions together. Okay, so one of your first big projects was the Robert Redford Lions for Lambs. I'm going to start name dropping. Tom Cruise, Meryl Streep, and then you've worked with Scorsese, Mel Gibson,
Lin-Manuel Miranda.
and the creativity list goes on. Do you have any character in particular that you love the most?
It's like you have to love all of your children equally. Peter Parker. You want me to say Spider-Man?
Just to get that reaction.
I mean, I've loved Spider-Man since I was 3 years old.
You had the backpack. I remember in one of our interviews,
That's
you told me you had the backpack going to school.
Yeah, and it was my first Halloween costume when I was 3 years old. My mum made out of felt. Yeah, she made an amazing costume. It was incredible. So yeah, I can't choose a favorite child. I love all my children. I do love all my children equally. Actually, there's a few I would rather not had, but like we're not going to talk about that. But the majority, I'm very, very happy to say I feel very very connected to, and even the ones that I was so excited to not have to do anymore, they taught me a lot. You know, I mean, like it was so it was doing 99 Homes was a really beautiful experience, and it was hard. You know, it was painful to shoot those scenes, and the eviction scenes, whether we were being evicted or whether I was evicting other people. Like, it was very in the muck and in the mud. It was painful, but there was a lot of that's the only place where the healing happens, is down in the wound. But I do have to say the things that come to mind when you ask who my favorites, it's definitely Jonathan Larson, it's definitely Desmond Doss, it's definitely Peter Parker, it's definitely Eduardo Saverin in Social Network.
Social Network.
And then the
Fincher.
and then the stage work with Angels in America and Death of a Sales. Like, I'm just very, I could retire quite happily. And I might.
Especially
I'm
after
tired too.
Under the Banner of Heaven, that kind of.
Oh yeah. No, exactly.
Yeah, you have a great archive. Yeah, so if you want to
I'm
retire.
done. I'm done. It's over officially. No, I'm kidding.
Do you feel that directors taught you a lot? I mean, Mo mentioned Lions for Lambs, and it was Robert Redford, and Martin Scorsese, and all those big names. Basically, it's not the small caliber people. How much do you learn about those from them?
Oh yeah, it's so crazy. It's by osmosis. It's just by being near to the person. They're not. What I learned from all of those masters is a great filmmaker has to be confident enough to collaborate with their fellow artists. If you have a filmmaker that just wants to be a puppeteer and control every single aspect, you are stifling the creativity of tens, sometimes hundreds, sometimes thousands of amazing artists that could just make you look better. And Scorsese wants everyone's input. Mel Gibson wants everyone's input. Fincher wants everyone to bring their best. Lin-Manuel was like, I will film whatever you do. Just go do it. And then he gets the credit for it. And of course, as he should, as the leader of the ship. But that confidence to collaborate, I think, is the thing where that if ever I find myself directing, which I would like to do at some point, I hope I have that ability to honor the tribe, to honor the community around me, to bring their most impassioned work.
And you'd be an actor who's a director, which I think is a plus because you're in tune with the sensibility of an actor, right?
Yeah, and I think that's what happened on the first film I made, which was Lions for Lambs, which no one's really seen, which is absolutely fine.
I've seen it,
but it's so Robert Redford was directing, as well as acting, and I all of my scenes were with him across his desk, and I remember my first day, I was so nervous, I was so scared, because it was my first day on a film set, and I'm with Robert Redford, and he starts on his coverage, he films himself first, because he wants me to warm up, and he finishes his first take, and he acts it, he finishes it, and he says, cut, and he looks at me, and he's like, how was that, what do you think? And I'm like, that was great. It was really, really good. I have no idea. But it was so crazy to see a man who was in his late 70s, early 80s going, I don't know. Was that any good? I still don't know if what I'm doing is going to work. And that again, was just like, oh, my God. Humility, true humility. You never know whether it's going to connect.
Well, I find that the bigger stars I interview have the biggest humility, because I think that the ones that don't have kind of an insecurity. So it's always wonderful to see the likes of Robert Redford, who have this whole history and this whole, pathos of a person. Just be humble, and it kind of teaches you.
Yeah, and also, to relate it to Mohammed here, like how he started Sundance, how he started this amazing festival was because his neighbor up in Utah was about to lose his land. And Redford was like, oh, I don't want you to lose your land. Well, how can I help? He's like, I don't know. You're going to help me by buying it for me? And he was like, oh, maybe. And he did. But he was like, but I've got to figure out a way of keeping, monetizing that so I'm not in the red. And so then he decided to create a festival for young, aspiring filmmakers, and it grew from a very small thing, and it became. Did you know this about that?
I've never heard that story.
I'm getting educated.
I'm pretty sure that's true. I may have just dreamt it or made it up, but I'm pretty.
Well, it's a good story.
I'm pretty sure he told me this, but the impulse came from the injustice that he was seeing of this man that's lived on this land for however many decades that was about to lose his home, and he was like, well, I can't let that happen if I have the power to help. Pretty amazing.
Well, he's right, Andrew. I mean, how do you feel about, the contribution to your film community that you've had through this? Especially you, Mo. You're not out there. You're quite shy as a persona. You're just the quiet confidence behind this thing.
To be honest, we're year 3 and we're seeing results day by day. And, we've produced with the Red Sea Fund over 257 films and growing. We had this year in the Cannes Film Festival 9 films in the official selection. There was one thing that I see a lot of females in the room, and I would like to point this out. At Cannes this year, for the first time in history of the Cannes Film Festival, 9 female filmmakers were in the official selection. 4 of them were Red Sea supported.
And we have 33 female in this year's selection at Red Sea.
33 females this year, yeah.
So no, he has a lot to be proud of.
That's so incredible. I mean, that's it's change. It's growth. It's healing. It's making the village whole. That is healing.
I think art and film really do connect cultures. And what I've seen, a lot of young filmmakers from Saudi and the region who used to be YouTubers or doing films on streaming now have the support to do feature films. This year at the festival, we had one of my favorite Saudi filmmakers, the Tilfaz 11 guys. Yeah.
They had a huge blockbuster last year.
So their films also, not only did they have the Middle East premiere at Red Sea, but they were official selection in Toronto. So there is Mandoob, Naga, and another great Saudi film, Noura, which was shot entirely in Al-Uda. And these films, and I'm not saying this because I'm from they're Saudi films, I'm just saying this, I'm actually really proud watching them because they feel that they have that global standard to take our human stories to the masses. And I think what happened with, Parasite and South Korea, and what happened with Bollywood in the past with Slumdog Millionaire and all these other films, I think Saudi is definitely the next destination, and our stories are going to go to the world. Inshallah.
Inshallah.
All right, before I open the floor to questions, my last question is about fame for you as well. As I said, Mo is...
I love fame.
I know you do.
No, I'm kidding.
No,
you definitely do.
You really adore fame, and you're always under the limelight.
This is why I do it. This is the only reason I do it.
Well, it's actually a little bit of the opposite, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, you're a little bit of the shy type of an actor, especially when it was like the huge kind of spotlight on you with the roles like Spider-Man. How did you deal with it? Because it's not naturally your,
I don't. Yeah, it's I admire young actors that I see now who can withstand the heat, withstand the light, and kind of embrace it. I find it I'm like, wow, how are you doing that? Because I'm now 40 years old, and I'm only now I feel now only like I know myself enough to be able to withstand that level of attention, that level of people's projection, that level of expectation, that level of people's need, or because I think for for me anyway, I'll speak from my own experience, as a 20-year-old and as a 30-year-old, I knew that I needed to protect myself. I knew that I needed to concentrate on my craft, concentrate on the work, concentrate on the story, making the story the thing, and to concentrate on becoming whoever this person is, If I'm not in touch with all the parts of Andrew, that I'm not able to find the parts of Desmond Doss, or find the parts of Jonathan Larson, or find the parts of Peter Parker or Eduardo Saverin, like I needed to find me first before I was able to offer myself sincerely as a human being in a public in a position of power, in a position of profile and limelight, and only now, or in the last few years maybe, have I felt like I'm strong enough to be able to sit here and to be able to offer myself in a way that feels like sincere and strong and grounded and put together enough where I'm not going to dissolve or abandon myself or try to make to offer my sincere true self. And I think it takes a while for us as human beings to. I think our 20s are for that. So I really admire the young actors who I see right now who are doing that in public. I think it's hell. I think it's really, really hard, and I think it's deeply unfair that young people are judged so harshly for honest mistakes that we all have to make in order to become human, in order to become, if my mistakes were from my 20s were aired in public, none of you would be here right now. You would be so shocked. Like I murdered people. No, I'm just kidding. No. I'm kidding. I didn't do anything too terrible, but just the usual things that we do. We make mistakes, and when we're young, and I think young people need to be given the space and the room to make mistakes, to screw up and to fall down and to learn. And I think it's very, very hard to do that while the limelight is on you and feel like you're allowed. And so I admire and I also wish that we would leave young artists alone as well. It's a tricky balance, because I understand that we're all participating in the same machine. But for me, it's story first, and true to self first, and only then can I then go, hello, I'm Andrew. This is who I can be for you.
Well, hello, you're Andrew. Look, they're starting with their questions. Do you want to choose?
Ooh, don't give me that. Don't put that pressure on me. No, can someone? I think you should choose.
Okay. You know, I want to choose the. Is it a Spider-Man? I want to choose a young Spider-Man fan, right? Look at him with the cap. No, you could just ask one.
What is it like to perform as Spider-Man in 2012?
Oh, at the beginning, yeah. I loved it. I was so scared because I felt so much pressure, because it was my favorite character since I was 3 years old. I didn't sleep very much. I was in the gym a lot. I was eating soup and berries, and I was training in parkour and gymnastics and yoga, and I was helping rewrite the script. It was really an intense time, because again, it's like, just like for you, you know, it's like I was imagining myself in the audience as a 13-year-old or a 5-year-old or a 7-year-old, and I'm like, oh my God, that is the most pressure I could put on myself. Imagining me as a kid looking up at that screen going, I need to feed, I need to nourish that child. I need to give him joy, I need to give him love, I need to let him know he's not alone. I need to reassure him that he's extraordinary and ordinary, and that both things are okay. I need to tell him that he can make mistakes. I need to tell him that he's very, very powerful, and I need to tell him that he needs to think about other people. There was this like, it was like the pressure of being a father to a gajillion young kids in the audience. That's how I internalized it anyway. But I also just had a really, really good time and loved it, and loved wearing the suit, and loved like working with the other actors and the director, and oh, it was a dream come true, man. It was just a dream come true, yeah.
Okay, the lady right here in the second row. Can we give her the mic? Here, she's right here with the, I think, red hair. No, red hair next to you.
Hi. I just want to say, number one, I've been a fan for like years, and like seeing you here is like so crazy to me. And I also wanted to say, like, you know, when they did the like newest Spider-Man movie with all 3 Spider-Mans, how did it feel to like embody the character again, like after so many years, if not like, you know, playing character?
Yeah, no, thank you, and that's very sweet of you, and I'm very, very happy to be here as well. It's crazy for me as well. It's really crazy for me. This is my first trip to this part of the world, really, and I'm just so grateful. So thank you for having me, truly, and the hospitality has been really beautiful, really beautiful, and I'm so excited to actually find out about this part of the world, and forgo any preconceived notion and just be curious. And so far the warmth has just been unbelievable. So doing the most recent Spider-Man was kind of just heaven. It was because the pressure was off of me and Toby. Like the pressure was all on Tom, and we were just there to kind of like have a fun time, really. And but it was I keep coming back to healing. For me, because it was an opportunity for me to tie up loose ends of my Peter Parker's story, and especially the moment when the filmmakers told me about the saving MJ moment for saving Zendaya. When they told me about that, I got like goosebumps all over my body, and my like tears came to my eyes, and I thought, well, that's perfect. That's reason enough to be a part of this. And then outside of that, it was a really fun one, because John Watts, the director, just lets you improvise and lets you play, and he wants it to be as alive, spontaneous as possible. And I think until all 3 of us were in the room rehearsing and figuring out what we were going to do, there was no way of writing it, because And that was the beauty of it, is that every single one of us brought our own version of that character, and we didn't know how they were going to interact until they were actually interacting in the room together. So it was a real voyage of discovery. It felt like you were making a low-budget short film with friends, but it was the biggest movie in the history of movies. So it was pure play and pure pleasure for me. Yeah.
I'm sorry, one more question. Ooh la la. Come on, Andrew, you choose.
It's so hard. I can't do it. It's so hard.
Okay, let's give this side a chance. The gentleman here who's standing. I'm sorry to the others.
It better be a good question,
Yeah,
man. There's a
exactly.
lot of pressure on you now.
Hi, it's Khalid. It's an honor to ask you or talk to you, Andrew. How does it feel when someone tells you that you are the best Spider-Man? And how is it if he told you no, it's not you?
It is a good question.
So my answer to that is I'm 40 years old, and I know myself now. And so if you love me, you love me, and if you don't love me, that's your loss. Yeah, it's like it was Tick Tick Boom, and we'd finished Tick Tick Boom, and I had seen the final cut, and I was so proud of it, and I was so proud of Lin-Manuel, and I was just proud of everybody that was a part of it. And I love that film so much. And we were about to have the premiere for the first public screening, basically, in Los Angeles, I believe. And I started getting kind of panicked, as you do when you're about to offer your work to the world. But it had a different flavor than it usually does for me. And for Tick Tick Boom, the flavor of it was, this is so intimate, this is so personal. This has my relationship with my mother in it, this has the loss of my mother in it, this has so much of my own grief in it, and so much of my own soul in it, that I didn't want to give anyone the opportunity to criticize it. I was speaking to Lynn about it. I was like, I'm really scared. I'm really scared about giving this away. And I think it was either him that said it or me that said it. It doesn't really matter. But one of us said, if they get it, they can have it. And if they don't get it, they don't get to have it. And it's really that's been a really big lesson of my career and my life so far. Is it's kind of none of my business if anyone likes it, if anyone doesn't. My only business, and I will say everyone else in this room, because we're all artists in some way, we're all meant to live our own very particular, unique lives. Our only job is to be at the end of our lives and to be asked by whatever deity you believe in, whatever God you believe in or don't believe in, when they ask, were you Mo? Were you Andrew? Did you offer Andrew? Did you leave it all on planet Earth? Did you give all of yourself? If you can say, yes, I definitely tried to do that, then that's all I can do. And it doesn't matter whether it's a success or not. It's just the success is the act of giving ourselves like seed, throwing ourselves like seed. So yeah, but I still get upset if I'm not people's favorite Spider-Man.
Oh, well, the biggest round of applause for Andrew Garfield and Mohammed Al Turki for this great conversation.